What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. Got Tommy, got Quentin. It's the draft part deux. Part
Yeah.
deux. We're gonna go over the second half of the draft. We're gonna go over some of the undrafted guys and a couple of guys we signed and listen to all the Twitter bitching, and it's good times. Good times had by all. You know, the one guy that I really am excited about is this guy right here. He excites the hell out of me. I mean, that dude.
DK Zama.
I can't wait to see him play. But anyway, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good, man. Good.
Good, man. JP.
Q
Dog.
We got everybody in the house, man. What's
Chris,
going on?
Phil on here.
Good.
What's up,
All
fellas?
Let's get started. Where we leave off?
We got through the first three because we're so great at time management. I mean, if you watch Chiefs Focus, the first thing you think of, man, these guys know how to manage their time. So
hey, FAU comes from KSN. It's Melvin Ingram. Oh,
What?
Okay. I mean,
he went to go to Miami.
Melvin Ingram is a quality pass rush. I mean, if you told me right now, if I could take that right now, that we just drafted a Melvin Ingram, I'd be very happy with that.
Would you take him over Frank?
Yes.
I wouldn't. Frank's got them speed. Here, you know what? I kind of compare him right now to more of a Dunlap. I think he's got the speed of a Dunlap, and I think he's got the hands of a Dunlap. I don't think Melvin Ingram. He was good, don't get me wrong, but he didn't have that.
He ain't gangster like Frank. That's the problem.
That's the difference.
Melvin Ingram produced through the regular season, though.
Yeah, he did. He did. We'll give him that.
What did he do?
He wasn't phenomenal, but he did okay.
Did he show up in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I don't know if his team's made it to the playoffs because he played for the Chargers for a while.
Yeah. There you go. That's a little better.
No, because against Miami didn't make it. Did they make it last year?
Yeah, but they played that one game with a fourth-string quarterback.
No,
he was third string. Yeah. He was third.
He was something string.
Yeah, he was up. I mean, he was okay. I mean, he was better than San Francisco's fourth-string quarterback. That's for sure.
Man, that was sad.
That was terrible.
Skylar Thompson from K-State.
Yeah. So anyway. So let's get to number 4 real quick because we got to get through them and get some of these. I mean, we're going to be a little longer than an hour, so everybody just know that.
Sweet.
But anyway.
Yeah, so we've got Chamari Connor. I think that's how you say his name.
Yes, it is.
Chamari Connor from Virginia Tech, cornerback, right? I teased this the last episode, and I think he played both nickel and some safety roles, right? So I think he's going to be very much like a Snead guy, right? A guy that has a ton of experience playing just generic defensive back. Once again, some of this stuff we're going to say is just repetitive of simply the fact that this is the kind of guy that Kansas City likes, right? Guys that play multiple roles. And Chamari Connor did that in college. It's extremely valuable. And when you run a complicated scheme and we see guys get moved all around like Snead, right? You see a guy that gets moved all around the defensive backs. I think this is where that advantage comes into play. If you want to play for Kansas City, if you want to get drafted by Kansas City and you're from a smaller school, play different positions because you'll at least get their eye over there.
Setting the trend. I mean, honestly, it's crazy to think of how many play Snead and everybody else that we've got on our. Chris Jones is now playing multiple spots, which he could before, but he got better at it. As that 1 year went on. We're kind of setting the trend for that kind of crap. I mean, when you really think about it, not too many teams do that.
6 foot, 202 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is big for a corner, though.
It is.
Because if you can catch and you're if you're over 6'2" and you can catch, they put you at wide receiver.
Right.
So if you're small, they generally make you cornerback. He played, like I said, spent a couple of years playing slot nickel and then played deep safety in 2022. So, it wasn't just like he occasionally played safety or occasionally played corner. He spent significant snaps at both positions. He's not afraid to tackle. If you look at some of his highlights play, he'll lay down the law on you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he'll come up and pop you. think he would be a problem in man-to-man coverage. I think that maybe that's one of the reasons why they moved him to play some safety too, is that he is really good at playing that slot and sort of reading the defense and not
Mhm.
necessarily playing man coverage. Uh, I think that's where he differs from some of the other corners that we have, that he's much better in zone, but he's capable of reading the pass. And if he gets put in the position, I don't think the ball will smack off his hands and just he'll catch the ball.
Yeah, that definitely
So
will.
is it safe to say that he's going to be a backup for sure and probably a starter on special teams with maybe the potential of next year playing slot slash safety?
Probably. It just depends on. I mean, honestly, it depends on his progression and if we have any injuries. I mean, you're going to see him on special teams. There's no doubt. But I think you're going to see. You might see a repeat of last year, where you've got guys that are just showing up and showing out on the field. So if that's the case, I'm okay with that. I got no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, we know that, if an injury happens, defensive backs, you'll rotate guys in. We saw that this year, right? We didn't expect any of our late round draft picks to make an impact, but an injury happens. Someone McDuffie gets hurt. It's the next guy up, and you realize what you have, and they force their hand, and you're just like, man, these guys are so good. We have to give them playing time. So, if I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens, just because it's a long season, right? I mean, you're expecting to play 20 games and you want to win the 20th game. So the odds are some of these guys are going to get hurt. And if that's the case, what a better option than to give a guy a late round pick who's just an athlete that you can work with. I think that as someone who can play multiple positions like that, I think it's fair to say they're a high IQ football player.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
I think that's fair to give him that. It's good to see guys like this come in and to give guys a chance. And if you just look at the history over the past couple years, Kansas City's been able to build a cornerback room off of a bunch of no-name guys.
And it's so funny to think about because I remember talking to some guys early in Veach's career as a GM, and he did not value corners. I mean, he was more of a safety guy. He loved safeties. I mean, he would go after the most expensive safeties on the market. And he brought in Tyron, he brought in a lot of guys, but he didn't value the cornerback position that much. And I think he realized that really wasn't the way to go. It affected him. You need both. You need a solid secondary on both sides. But
It's pass first
versatile,
league.
it is, and being versatile is just it makes you that much more of a commodity with us. So
I think like a lot of a part of this that I think we forget at times too is that these players might not be what we want them coming out of college. Like they might not check all the boxes, but the level of coaching that you get from college to pros is just like an enormous step up. And in a lot of cases, sometimes you have some really good coaches at both levels, but whatever they're lacking, there's a good possibility with this coaching staff, right? They might get coached up to be what their full potential is, and that's what Beach is banking on. A lot of times that these guys might not be blown up the charts with all their measurables and all their film, but he can see the potential in them, and then if you put them with the right coaches, if they have the right attitude and the right work ethic, you can bring that potential out. And I think that's where, especially picking 31st in the draft, you have to look to other players in that type of category because you're not going to get the 1 through 15 draft picks at the bottom of each round.
and sometimes you don't want the 1 through 15s. I mean, honestly, if they're not a good fit, they don't fit within our system. What good is it? The one thing I will say about Veach is that he knows what colleges have the best coaching for every position. And when he rolls like that, when you got a GM that rolls that way, it doesn't really matter where they come from because he's finding the best of the best. I mean, you may have some, Jackson State ball player down there that nobody ever heard of, but Veach has because he knows they got a great coach and a skill position coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like the way he operates. But who's the next one? Quinton.
Okay, the next time I believe it's BJ Thompson. Let me just look at BJ Thompson.
Yeah.
Another edge rusher, right? This was the second edge rusher they took out of Austin State. This is when you get to this part of the draft, you're no longer looking at necessarily college production. You're looking at just what the hard skills that he has. Look, this guy's 6'6", 240 pounds. A big guy. We talked about this before we went in. Kansas City was going to have to spend a lot of capital investing back in their defensive line simply as a numbers game, right? Kansas City lost a lot of guys on that defensive line, both on the
Yeah.
edge and the tackle. He had 4 sacks and 5.5 tackles for loss, with 4 of those being sacks in 10 games. So, okay, production, not great, but playing in 10 games, you're getting in the backfield and you're making disruption plays about once every other game. That's fine. He did block 3 kicks, which is impressive. So what that tells me is he has speed and he has bend around the edge, and you can see those traits when you watch some of his stuff that's available. Um, you see the production. It's not a ton, but once again, you're picking. He was the 5th round pick. Yeah, he's a 5th round pick. So you're not going to see a ton of production, because if there was, he would have simply gone earlier. So we have to be realistic about this. But I think just looking at some of the stuff that he shows and some of those hard skills, I think this is a guy that, with your coaching staff, you could work with him. And I don't know if you can really expect anything out of him this year, but I think if this is sort of turns into a Derek Nottie sort of guy, where it's just, I'm not expecting him to start, but here in the next couple of years, if he gets in on a handful of snaps every game, I think you'd be happy with it.
Can we copy the Mike Dana? I don't know what Mike's draft status was, or where he was selected, but I'm assuming he spent like a year or 2 on the practice squad, kind of elevated his game, got his opportunity, and then the last year and a half, he's starting to shine.
I mean, to a degree, I think, given his height and the fact that if you look at his, I mean, a 6'6", 240-pound edge is not a big edge.
No.
I mean, when you really think about it, it's a pretty small guy. And in fact, 240 pounds for a 6'6" guy is football player is kind of light. But when you look at his stance and his stature, he looks so skinny compared to every other edge rusher you see in football. So it tells me that Veach is looking for that Carlos Dunlap type of player that can bat balls down at the line of scrimmage, quick enough to get around somebody, does have the bend. Maybe doesn't have the push power that everybody else may have, but he's got the speed and the technique to get past everyone, and that's what you really want. So
situational type player.
Yeah, and I think that's what you see with somebody like him. You don't see too many guys 240 pounds on an edge.
No, he's extremely athletic, right? There is that part. He's just a naturally gifted, and of course all these guys are, but he is sort of that naturally gifted athlete. He does sort of have that bend outside, but you're right, he doesn't have enough strength or raw power to sort of anchor the edge, or to get into, if he gets blocked up, he really doesn't have a lot to he doesn't have a lot of moves to get out of a deep block. So he's going to need to put some weight on, and healthy weight. He's going to just simply need to be bigger. Now, when you're 6'6",
so
when you're 6'6", there's some room to put some more weight on there. When you're in the NFL and you have time to just simply work on your body, I feel very confident that he could put some healthy weight on and can get stronger. Right. And you never know, small school. I'm not sure how much time or how much he was really able to put into simply getting bigger or adding to his body. But, that athleticism there, look, you can't coach athleticism. You can't coach size. You can't coach height, but, you can try and add some weight on him. And he, like I said, he has some of that bend to get around the edge. So if you give him some weight on there and give him some more of that power and teach him some more effective hand moves, he's got the long strides to get around the edge of guys. I don't know if he'll ever be the guy to sort of swim on the inside and go, in between the tackle and guard to get in between that gap. But I do think that he could be an effective pass rusher to get on the outside of guys. And if you have a move that works and you're only in there for a limited amount of snaps, that works for me.
Yeah. What's up, Joe?
Hi to
Joe real quick. Yeah.
Philip said B.J. Thompson is who Joshua Kando is supposed to be.
Well, I mean, to a degree, he is. Kando just didn't pan out. I mean, it's weird, but
that happens.
It happens. I mean,
well, the knock on him was the production. I mean, they said in college he had all the measurables, but his production was crap. and Beach took a chance on two. That's the thing I think that scares me the most about some of these, the lower prospects. But again, I mean, you don't have, it's like not like you have a lot of choice, right? There's not a lot there, but with BJ, the same thing. Not a lot of production. He actually was at a D1 school, right, and went to the Stephen F. Austin afterwards. And so, I think he said he had some issues they had to take care of, some life issues, which is understandable. But the competition is not as steep on that level as well. So again, we talk about the Joshua Williams, the same thing. I think with his growth, I think this year he's going to take a big step because he came from Division II. So Stephen F. Austin is not as drastic as Division II, but still, I mean, I think the expectation for him this year is in my mind, is like special teams. And hopefully he develops. I don't really see him reaching the field this year that much unless you get into a lot of injuries.
I'm going to answer Joe's question real quick. Not right now. That they're going to stick with where they're at. They're going to leave Taylor on the right, and they're going to try. My mind's blanking.
A guy from
the
guy Buccaneers.
From Bucks, yeah. Can't think of his name right now.
What's his
they're
name?
Gonna try. Yeah, what's his name? They're going to try him out on left.
Was it
Devon Smith?
Devon Smith. We got there. We're fine.
He said it's been a long day. They're going to try him out right now, and see. Right now that's how they have it casted. That doesn't mean that's how it's going to go. And to be honest with you, for everybody out there that's been flipping out on Twitter about this signing, look, man, his base is very low. There's no guaranteed money.
Yeah, up to $9 million.
Money.
Up to.
It's up to. It's not. You didn't get $9 million. You got up to $9 million.
And
this could very easily be a trade piece. So
I'm going to assume that a lot of that money is just going to be based on snaps, like playing time.
Absolutely.
He has somewhat of an injury history. He missed a good amount of games last year with a foot and hand or elbow. I can't remember. I want to say it's an elbow, foot and elbow injury. So, when you play 13 games, you miss a good amount of snaps. There's a reason why he
played injured in some of those too, by the way. So.
There's a reason he hadn't been signed up until this point, right? A starting left tackle doesn't make it this far into free agency. It's a fine guy to have on your roster. I generally speaking, I don't think 1 year injuries or 1 year contracts can hurt a team. So I'm fine with it. At the very least, it adds depth and it adds a veteran presence to what is a relatively young room. And, if it comes in a pinch where your tackle gets hurt in the middle of the game, I feel comfortable throwing him in and, we can move on with that.
I agree.
I think that this tells me two things. One, I think Kansas City wanted to draft a tackle with their first pick in the draft. That's what this tells me, that they weren't 100% comfortable with what they had in the room. You draft a guy in the third round and, it's fine, but you aren't exactly sure we're going to get out of it. There's going to be a competition at right tackle. Now you have a competition at left tackle just to see what happens. I think that's what they're going to be I think that's what they're going to talk about a lot is competition at the tackle position heading into training camp and through the rest of the summer.
Well, I know they wanted to grab a guy in the second, either they wanted to try and end up with another first, and that didn't work out. They really wanted to tie it in the first round, but that didn't happen. They wanted to get an early second round pick for a tackle, and that didn't happen. So it just, the chips fall where they may. I mean, it kind of happens that way. So we really can't, you can't fix everything, but you can base what you've got and then go, okay, well, we don't know how these rookies are going to do. So let's give him a shot, see how he does. If he doesn't work out, okay, he's a trade piece. He's a cut. It's not going to cost us much. So what does it matter if we trade him or not? What does it matter if we cut him or not? There's going to be competition there. It's that simple. There's going to be competition at the left tackle.
That's definitely the focal point.
Dude, he got right tackle money to be a left tackle. That tells you a whole lot.
Yeah.
So then we got a right tackle that's making 8 left tackle money. So,
but I tell people all the time, who cares? I could care less. I mean, as long as the money is divided proportionally across the line, I don't care who's making more as long as Mahomes stays protected. So what you gave $20 million to the right tackle, and you may be paying your left tackle more. Who cares? Is Mahomes upright? Is he protected? That's all that matters. Are we within the salary cap range? Yeah, that's all that matters. It really doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't, because the outcome is to keep him upright and win the championship. Who cares if the right tackle's making more money? It doesn't. I mean, it's not. I mean, people are blowing up on Twitter about them. Like, who cares? It's not. If you look at it, at the end of the day, eventually your tackles are going to pretty much be making the most money on your team anyway. This is how it works. You know, especially your left tackle is your king, right? And then your right tackle may not be, you know, within $5 million of your left, but still, you're still going to pay what, 8 to 10 a year, maybe 12. So
well,
I mean, you're going to pay.
Look what the one that got Mahomes hit constantly, Wiley got. Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't going to pay him that kind of money. So, you know, it kind of is what it is.
It's that Super Bowl champion tax.
Yeah, I think we're set at receiver, Joe. I mean, Joe's asking about that. I think we kind of are. I mean, if there's a veteran out there that's going to come in dirt cheap, they may do it. But we've got so many wide receivers in the wide receiver room right now. I really don't see us going after a vet right now.
Over here. What? We're not yelling D-Hop anymore? The D-Hop train is over with?
Yeah, that train is – I think that train ran off the tracks like all the other ones in this country. You know, so,
I think he's going back to Arizona.
He ain't got no choice. Look, man, if Arizona doesn't – look, I'm going to say it now. That's why he put out what he put out when he said, did I say I wanted to leave? When did I say that? I didn't say I wanted to leave. That's the first time he said anything, because not one person wanted to deal with him in the draft. Arizona doesn't want to take any loss. So if it happens, it's going to be – and even if they cut him post-year and first, that's a huge cap hit. That dead cap space is monstrous for that team. They can pay him. So if they want to keep him, let him stay. Fuck, they're going to need all the help they can get from their backup quarterback that's going to play probably the first 8 games anyway. Yeah. So hang on to the guy and let him play. You know, he's not – he says he's not looking for a payday, but I guarantee you if somehow half of that contract got paid by Arizona and he moved on to somebody else that was going to pay him $15 million over a 3-year period, he'd have taken it.
The problem is that when you trade for somebody, if you end up taking up a ton of the contract, it lessens the value, the draft pick value that gets sent back, and you know, vice versa. So either you eat a ton of it and you get more picks, or you don't and you get less picks. And I don't even think that they're going to end up trading him. I think if he ends up on another team, he gets cut. But that would only happen after June 1st, because that's when a ton of that money gets taken off the dead cap space. So no, I don't think he ends up here in Kansas City. I think they are set and they're happy with it. We can talk about that, you know, a little later if you want.
Hey, Joe, I got a quick question for you. So, does your shit look like this? Because if it does, you need to go to manscaped.com and type in Chiefs Focus under the promo code. You're going to get 20% off your entire order. It's not just about your balls. I'm pushing this because they are our sponsors, but they did send us some stuff. I'm extremely happy with what they sent. They have beard grooming kits. They have cologne. They have deodorant. They have body wash. They have hair shampoo. They've got everything you would ever need and then some. Please, just go and check it out. You will not be disappointed. And also, if you do buy something, send us the receipt via DM on Twitter, and we will enter you in for the 4.0 kit. Just wanted to throw that out there really quick because, hey man, Quentin, did you finally use your kit? Have you used it yet?
Yeah, I defluffed down here a little bit. Beard. So
did you defluff just there? Did you?
I defluffed around the edges here. You know,
just up
I
top?
wasn't gonna get rid of a ton of it, but yeah, it has a tendency to sort of grow, you know, further down than I want.
Joe said, "Hell no." Okay, well, let me tell you something, Joe. Whether it be you or anybody else that's listening to this damn show right now, they got a lot more shit than just that. So go up there, check it out. Not everything's expensive. And look, this is the 4.0 kit. Can you see that? Everybody see that? Ooh. It's got everything you want. And then some. Nose trimmer. Best fucking underwear I've ever worn, and I bought some expensive-ass underwear. These boxers are the bomb. I'm telling you, you can't get better. They even got ball deodorant. You know you get the crotch rotch and all that shit. You get all that stanky balls when you're out there sweating in the middle of Kansas. I know. You ain't telling me no different. So
A lot of
you want
humidity.
that shit. Just telling you. He said, I'll
He
check
said
it out.
check
I'm
it
glad
out.
you will, Joe. Thank you. And that's for anybody else that goes on that's on this show too. Hey, Chips Live, what the hell? You're young. I talked to you on the phone. I know how young you are. You need that shit. I mean, you're in the humidity too out there. Oh no, you're in California, but you still need it. Just saying. All right, moving on. Who's next?
The next pick, we've got our 6th-round pick, defensive tackle, Keandre Coburn, I believe is how you pronounce his name. So
It is.
more defensive tackle help, right? He was a 5th-year senior defensive lineman. Out of the 50 games he played, he started in 45 of them, right? So this is a guy that was trusted by his coaching staff. It seems like he was more used to stop the run game. I mean, when you're 6'2", 350 pounds, you can just eat up blockers, and that's what they seem to use him at. He does have some decent footwork and a good first step. But when you're 350 pounds, he has a ton of power, and you see that he's able to move some interior defensive linemen. And I think that's where Kansas City is going to really benefit from a guy like him. He has gotten into the backfield, but I think at the NFL level, it's going to take him time to really develop any sort of significant pass rush skills. And that his first few years here is going to be more as a simple defensive tackle / it's 1st and 10. Let's throw him out there because they might run the ball. I think he'll be pulled off the field if he gets on the field for any pass rush situations, because he really doesn't have a ton of those pass rush skills.
But with Danny Shelton sitting on the field, I mean, everybody knows how I feel about that guy. So with him out there, as long as he stays injury free, I think it's going to be pretty hard for anybody to get close to that defensive line with Chris Jones and him and everybody else that they've signed. But that's just my opinion. But I think he's got some skills.
Yeah, I will say that because he's 6'2", he does keep his pad level low, right?
Yeah.
So, when he does get in between the guys, he does have some stunt moves he can use. I don't want to take anything away from him. He does have some skills to get through blockers. I'm just worried that, it's not going to be as effective in the NFL as it was when he was in college, just because obviously, the difficulty goes up extremely. It escalates quickly here in the NFL. So, there are some things to build off of here. I think that's, one of the reasons why Kansas City took him was that they saw a solid foundation for a guy like him. And I know in Kansas City, we have these high expectations from our defensive tackles because we have Chris Jones. Defensive tackles generally don't have a ton of pass rush skills. So, if he gets on the field, I think he'll be excited about the athleticism you see from a guy like him.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Tom?
It's like a bowling ball, man. He reminds me a lot of Colin Saunders. I think he's bigger than Colin, right? Though I know.
Yeah, Colin, I think, is a little shorter than him. A lot shorter, actually.
Yeah.
I think he's only like 5'11" or 6 foot, maybe.
Yeah, so I think I have a lot of, I think I have a lot
6
of.
foot, so he's a little bit taller than him.
How much did he weigh? Because this guy's 335, right?
I think Colin
Saunders is 324.
324. Oh, he was
the same.
Yeah. So I mean, he's 6'2", 350, so about 20 pounds heavier than him. 25 pounds heavier than him.
Colin was so fast, though, man. He had those little cartoon legs running. I mean,
he did, yeah. And I think I don't know if I want to compare him to Colin Saunders, just because, for God's sake, Colin Saunders could do a backflip. That's how athletic he was. But I do think the conversation about how athletic he is, I think, can translate. Now, we know that pure athleticism doesn't necessarily translate, but I think there's a good foundation there. I think, generally speaking, that's why Kansas City drafted him. Not because they needed just numbers, but there's
this is actually a really good. If you guys don't know who Dan Salimu was, that's a really good comparison. Dan was that guy. I mean, everybody looked at him and thought, man, what the fuck can he do? But man, he did it.
Stopper.
And man, that guy stopped everybody that got in his way. And when he was done, he would body slam him. He did shit that when he was on the field, it looked like he hated everybody. Him and Tim Grunhart on the opposite side of the ball, man, they were two totally different people off the field. It was so funny. Tim was like a big-ass teddy bear off the field. On the field, he would rip your fucking ears off. He didn't care. He just did not care. He stick a cleat in your eye. It's insane the difference in those guys on the field versus off the field. But that's a good comparison.
Dance, hallelujah. Dino Hackett.
Man.
We're going back in the day, baby.
Yeah, man, that was a group, man. That was a group back in those days.
Percy
All right, who's
Smell.
next? Yeah.
All right, our final draft pick was a cornerback, Nick Jones out of Ball State.
Not Mike Jones, but Nick Jones, baby.
Yeah, he's sort of the opposite of the other corner we took, Connor. Whereas Connor was used more in that man scheme or as in a zone scheme, Nick Jones was used more in a man scheme. So he has more experience in a heavy press scheme where he gets up in the wide receiver's face. He's, pretty good with keeping up with routes and, going with when guys make quick cuts, he can keep up with them. So there is that skill set there. He's also he's not super handsy and is able to read the ball, like read the wide receiver. We see this a lot where now that corners don't have to look for the ball anymore, right? Where they can read the wide receiver and try and get their hand up to knock the ball down. Nick Jones is able to do that to where he can get his hand up to knock the ball down without ever looking back at the ball, just watching the receiver. Yeah. And that's an important skill when you're talking about a man cover. It's not just being up in the guy's face when they initially start their route. It's about staying on his hip, and I think he has that. One last thing I'll say here is that he also had multiple blocked kicks in his college career. So Kansas City drafted multiple guys that have blocked kicks.
Hey man, after that,
Ball State.
Ball State, yeah.
Ball State.
Yeah, okay. I am impressed with that kid. I watched film on him yesterday, and one thing I will tell you that I really like about him, man, he's got good closing speed.
Hey, by the way, really good do you know who sponsors Ball State? Manscaped. Moving on. What I like about that kid is the fact that he's got the tangibles to be. He's very fast, and I think people, when I say that, it's game fast. He's very game quick. He's got great cuts. He knows how to hang with the wide receiver. He knows how, and he's right. Joe says a kick blocking beast he is. His jump, his leap is insane. I think he might be one of those guys that we see maybe similar to like what we saw with McDuffie. Just a diamond in the rough that nobody really thinks about and just shows up. That's what I feel like. I don't know why, but I have a feeling about this kid.
Yeah, McDuffie is cold.
He is, man.
McDuffie skills. He won the bet. Because we don't draft cornerbacks that often, and for Beach to hit on that one, that was kind of nice because we had, a high draft pick. We haven't hit on that. We've hit on the diamond and the rust, but a high draft pick is something we usually don't hit. I mean, Peters was before them, right? Did Marcus Peters come before?
Yeah, Marcus Peters was well before Beach.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So
and honestly, I think McDuffie's a better in a lot of ways.
Dude, McDuffie is all around. He's a beast, man. I'm telling you, even in the Super Bowl, if you look in the Super Bowl, he just looked back for the ball because what's the receiver's name? The one who used to play for Tennessee, he's playing for the Eagles now.
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown looked back for the ball, and so he took his off of him and then saw the ball was up because he just threw a lollipop to him.
Yeah.
And that's how he got beat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But usually that dude's in perfect position, man. He plays the ideal cornerback for what the Chiefs want to do, especially on his side of the field. That's what I'm saying. Having him and Snead, man, if Snead leaves after this year, that's going to hurt. Because having him and Snead, dude, you can lock down most of the field with them two dudes on the field at the same time.
I got a weird feeling Snead's staying.
I don't know. If Jamari Connor works out, Jamari Connor might be the next Snead-esque kind of guy.
Yeah, he might be. I don't know. It's going to be hard to replace a Snead because the one thing he's great at is corner blitzes. He's very fast.
Yes.
Very smart. He reads
inside and
offenses
out.
so well. Yeah, man. He plays he plays safety, he can play corner, he can play press, slot. It doesn't matter where you put him, he's there.
See, I would like to see him, like, if they would keep him, I'd like to see him move to safety, like Fuller did for us. Man, Fuller played a great safety. Remember when we had to move him
Yeah, I
back there
loved
during
him.
the first
Loved
Super
him.
Bowl?
Yeah.
Man, cornerbacks sometimes make the best safeties. Look at Charles Woodson, Hall of Fame
Yeah.
cornerback, moved to safety later in his career. I
Yeah,
think
but
he'd
usually
be
they do that is because they're slower, and so they
yeah.
need more space to react. So generally speaking, like former corners can make really good safeties, but generally you're doing that because they're slower and they can't keep up with the man-to-man coverage. And you don't want to put a corner out there only to play zone because then you're giving away your defense before the ball is snapped.
Well, Kendall Fuller
Yeah.
was really good in the slot. He was great in the slot. It was when he was on the outside is when he struggled a little bit. When they put him
When he
back
was
inside,
one-on-one with elite wide receivers.
yeah, when you put him back inside though, he was fucking phenomenal. I mean, the guy he was a very talented player, and I do miss him still to this day. I miss him. I mean, he was a great player for us. So,
What a get in the Alex Smith trade.
oh man,
Yeah.
man. Well, now we go to.
Oh, I've got just a couple things else that I want to talk about on Jones
Okay.
here. Just a couple of downsides that I see from him. One, he's not a great tackler. Kind of sucks at open field tackling, so that's not something that you want to see. And then the other thing is he's really susceptible to double moves, right? Well, he can keep up with guys that make one cut on a slant route or an in route or anything like that. He will get flat-footed on some double moves, and he's going to get burnt in the NFL on something like that.
Well, you can get him out of that though.
Yeah, I mean that's
one
just
of the best DB coaches in the league. So
I'm just saying that if he gets out there and he's on any sort of wide receiver, if they see him out on the field, every offensive coach should call some sort of a double move route because he's bound to get burned on it because he just seems to get flat-footed more often than he probably should. So I don't know if that's something that if I'm in the room, talking to him, I think that's got to be one of the first things that you work on is just his ability to, get rid of whatever he has for whatever reason he gets flat-footed on some of those double moves.
I think there's probably most rookies because if you look at the rookies from last year, man, at the beginning of the year, we had people running free through our secondary, and 90% of the time it was the rookies getting beat, and maybe not always on double moves, they were getting beat. So there goes, yeah. So, but this is what makes me think though, like if he sees them same qualities in this guy that he saw in the rookies last year, he probably knows that, and I think they coach him up. But I think that's a good analysis though, Q, because one thing that going into the season, teams are always going to be looking for the weakest link on defense, especially your weakest defensive back, and they're going to want to exploit it. Because you got to put up. That's one thing about Kansas City. Like people, and even me sometimes get upset about, the defense not performing as well. But you got to put up almost 30 points to beat the Chiefs every game. So you can have some issues and errors on the back end at the beginning of the season and still be victorious.
Well, here's the thing: we ended up 11th overall at the end of last season. That's the best defense Mahomes has played with, and I think this one's going to be better. I think we're going to be top 5 to 10 this year. I really do.
They got some big stops in the Super Bowl.
Man. I mean, and you got to think all these guys that were rookies last year, they ain't rookies no more. They really weren't rookies after week 8 of their first, of their rookie season. They weren't rookies anymore. These guys are Super Bowl champions. Now they got that taste in their mouth. They know what it's like to put a ring. Well, they ain't put the ring on yet, but to haul that trophy around and go to the parade and see what it feels like to be a champion. They're going to want that shit more and more.
Hey, plus we got Spags, baby. People underestimate Spags, man. I love Spags, bro. Spags is my type of defensive coordinator. Oh, yeah? You want to pass all day? We're going to blitz your ass. I love that. I love it. He picks the right times to blitz, bro.
And now you got the best, really, man, you got the best of both worlds because you got Spags that's kind of nuts. And then you got Joe Cullen that is the calmer of the two, but yet is very fucking smart with that defensive line. And he knows exactly
I didn't
what
even notice
players,
that we had a new coach because I was like, damn. Good. Well, I was like, damn, this year I was like, man, our defensive line seems a lot better. Like, we're getting more production out of him. I was like, oh, we got a new defensive line coach. Oh, that makes sense because I totally saw the difference from last year to the previous year. Because the previous year, we weren't getting nothing out of the line besides Chris Jones. You know what I'm saying? And then this year, we had different defensive tackles in key points of the season making plays in the backfield, which we didn't have. It was only Chris Jones and nobody else typically on the interior, at least.
And look how quickly Karlaftis developed. And I know a lot of that had to do with, Frank and those guys helping him out, but you still got to have a damn good D-line coach to develop somebody that was really raw. That was a bull rusher. That's all he knew what to do. He overran the play. He overran the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that the first 5-6 weeks. Man, he played out of that shit quick.
That dude is strong,
no technique.
Man.
He had no technique, man.
Coming out of Purdue, man, I was watching him, man. I was watching him slap tackles around. Boom, boom. I was like, man, he got a little Reggie White to him with that little
he's a little crazy. Yeah. But yeah, he developed skills. He developed technique, and that's what helped him so much down the stretch. And that's going to put him, he's probably going to be a starter this year, man. And I wouldn't doubt he starts.
Think about it like this. So you're going to have some new guys on the interior defensive line. Thinking at some point in time, you're going to have a mix of Karlaftis, FAU, and then a veteran on the outside. But the best thing about it is that, man, your secondary from linebacker to secondary is solid, bro. Yeah. Like, we might have the best linebacker crew in the NFL. Hands down,
absolutely.
We might.
I wouldn't doubt that a bit. I mean, look, we've talked about this numerous times. We noticed this in 20 and 21, especially 21. When your defensive line breaks down and you don't have somebody, I guess 20 was the worst year. You don't have your secondary that's able to stop, your second line of defense, which is your linebackers. If they're not able to stop, especially like Anthony Hitchens, he was terrible at it. He got slow, he got older, and he just wasn't great. Then your secondary falls apart because they're jumping off their man to cover up the mistakes made by the linebackers, or it's that domino effect. So when you got the line that does their job, the linebackers that do their job, it makes the job for the secondary so much easier. They're able to stay with their guys, do their job, and stop plays. Just stop plays from happening. And that's what
finally covering the damn running backs out the backfield, bro. That was a killer for us. I'm like, dude, just like people say, can somebody guard Kelsey? I'm like, can somebody guard the running back? Because I know they going to him. It's 3rd and 8.
Yeah.
We're going to drop into a zone.
I know. Well, we don't have to worry about that shit no more. So we just don't have to. Let's get into these undrafted free agents. Real quick, let's get a couple of them. We don't need to do them all because we got a bunch. But let's get the key guys that
I want to talk about. Dendrick Prince.
Yeah, Prince. They're high on Prince.
Yeah, they are. He had a great combine, right? Brett Veach specifically talked about him on Monday. And I think this is going to be, I don't want to say that it feels like sort of a Pacheco type situation where, I know Pacheco was drafted, but he was a 7th round pick. And generally speaking, you use 7th round picks to call dibs on the UDFAs. That's basically what you think about. And I think if the Chiefs had another 7th round draft pick, I think there's a chance they end up picking him up. Spent some time at Texas A&M and Tulsa. He's big too. He's 5'11", over 200 pounds, right? So, this is a guy that can take a beating. I'm excited to see him. And I think there's a real chance that he can make the 53-man roster. Like, Kansas City signed a bunch of guys. I don't think there's a real chance for some of these safeties or the punters or the quarterbacks that they brought in. I think that there's a real chance that he could make the 53-man roster.
Yeah, I think if you look at Veach's track record in picking running backs, right? Everybody gets something about the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick, but like you said, 31st pick, that's 2nd round pick basically. But then you look at Pacheco and you see his measurables. And if you look at this guy, I've heard a lot of the sportscasters saying, hey, this guy comps just like Pacheco, Isaiah Pacheco. And if you look at being able to re-sign Jared McKinnon, right, that gives you the experience that you need to bring in another guy like this, rookie. And if you were able to get this similar production out of him to be a backup for Isaiah, because you do two things. So you give your number 1 running back a rest, you take some of the beating away from him. Plus, you also prepare your next running back under the tutelage of one of the smartest running backs in the league. Teach them how to block, teach them how to, catch out the backfield, teach them how to be a professional. So really, you're basically getting 2 potentially starting running backs or one starter and one very good second, running back for a undrafted free agent signing and a 7th-round pick. That's what I call stealing at this point. If this works out.
Absolutely. And you know what it reminds me of, if you think about it, kind of how Dallas had it for a few years until they got rid of Zeke. They basically had 3 starting running backs in their arsenal. And
who they had? Zeke, Pollard, who was the third one?
I can't think of his name right now. I had it in my head, and now it's gone. Damn, look it up for me, Quentin. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
But I got to tell you, those 3 together, when Zeke was out, Pollard stepped up. If Pollard was out,
yeah, he's a beast.
This kid stepped up. I can't think of his name right now. But they basically had 3 starting running backs in their backfield, and one of them can catch really well. Pollard can catch really well. Mm-hmm. He was good out of the backfield. He was
Pollard is Zeke. He's a younger version of
Clement?
Zeke.
Who?
Corey Clement.
That's him. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, those 3 guys were good, dude. They were really good. So I mean, I think Zeke fell off.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
of course
you get old quick as a running back. What year did Zeke come out? He's been in the league for like 7 years, ain't he? Something like that.
I think he came out in 16 or 17. Was it 17? I think it was 17 when he came out.
Did he come out the same year as Mahomes?
I think no, maybe it was a year before. Maybe it was 16.
Yeah, I thought it was like 15.
Yeah, I think it was 16.
Because I think that's
he played way too long.
Beat up, man. You just get beat up. I mean, running backs, they don't have a long lifespan in the NFL. I mean, you literally getting hit every time you get the ball, and then if not, you're blocking 200.
Unless you're McKinnon.
Yeah, unless you're McKinnon.
McKinnon just has that knack of just not being hit really hard. He's fucking strong for somebody his size.
He's put together well. Kind of like Tyreek, man. There's certain guys in the league that are just put together really well, and they are able to overplay their size. So they play bigger than what they actually are because their physical makeup is like perfect for the game. Kind of like a basketball player, right? They got the long arms and long legs, Football players are usually really stocky, thick legs, strong upper body, stuff like that. And so if you think about it, if you can get a running back that can be as proportionate as like a Zeke or Isaiah Pacheco, then you're good. But if you look at the bigger running backs, which I'm surprised that Eddie George stayed together as long as he did in the league, because the guy was like 6'4" out of Ohio State.
Yeah,
but he was a beast, man. He was a beast. But I did not think he would stay in the league. I think he was in the league for like 8 years, something like that. And I'm surprised because, I mean, you just take so much punishment. The taller you are, the more of you that there is to hit for defensive players.
Joe said, when your quarterback sucks, your running back pays for it. You know what? You're not wrong. I mean, we see that all the time. I'm pretty excited with this whole the entire backfield right now. I don't know about you guys, but I am. I'm pretty happy with everybody. I'm glad McKinnon. I mean, we were told a while back that he was coming back, and we said it on the show. But I'm happy about that. I'm glad McKinnon just that smart. Very smart.
I think it's a smart move.
God, and a smart move, and he's a great player. He loves his team, man. I mean, he didn't want to go anywhere else. He had his opportunities. He could have went. Actually, the Jets wanted him. Weirdly enough, but
bro, the Niners let him go. I'm like, man.
He had a crazy injury history while he was there. He's a weird case, right? He's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
To older running backs. So other teams should not say, look what Kansas City did and look what he did last year, and say, man, look, we can replicate that. Because I think this is just a strange situation. A guy that has a significant injury history and is able to have a career year at age 30, right? That doesn't happen. So
no, it doesn't. I mean, that's the Adrian Peterson effect. That's what I like to call that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Bro, have y'all went and looked at Adrian Peterson's high school film? Bro, he was as big as he is in the league as he was in high school. And you had bro, he hit this one safety, little short white kid. I feel so bad for him, bro. Peterson breaks free, bro, and he's at the 50, and the kid's like at the other 40. You can see him, and bro, he didn't even try to get low. He just goes like this, and he just smack, man, and just never loses stride, bro. Goes all the way. I was like, bro, that ain't fair.
Yeah. That's the Adrian Peterson effect. When you can play until you're at the running back position for as long as even McKinnon's played. I think he was used incorrectly in San Francisco. They wanted somebody like a McCaffrey. They wanted somebody that they could pound into the ground and really not use out of the backfield, like as a wide receiver. You know, he was more of like a Debo before Debo. They just didn't utilize him correctly. I mean, in my opinion. And now you look at the guy; he's 31 years old, playing the best he's ever played, relatively injury free. Got a good medical staff. I mean, that helps a lot. But anyway,
I think what you said, how they use him too. I think that's important because
absolutely,
what you just said, it rings bells because I think of some of the players around the league over the past 10 to 20 years that they got in the wrong system, utilized the wrong way, they're out the league. And then you got other guys that are not as talented, but they get in the right system and they're able to make, an 8 to 10 year career out of it because they're in the right system.
That's why you see the longevity now in a lot of players, because when they get with teams that utilize them correctly, they last longer and they're relatively injury free if they have a good medical staff. You know, you got to look at somebody's proportionate size and think about what they can do best and use them in that position. And that's where a lot of people fail. I mean, it just is.
How you feel about Debo telling the 49ers he don't want to play running back no more?
I think it was a good move by him.
It was.
I do too.
It was.
Well, they built that contract. The way they built that contract is he's getting paid as a wide receiver, and all of the incentive-based things in his contract are
running back
things.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, so he's getting paid as a receiver, but if he wants to make extra money, his incentives, it's based off of like rushing yards.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And it's a good contract.
It is a good contract. I mean, and honestly, I mean, the money he's making as a wide receiver, he really doesn't need that extra if he doesn't want it. I mean, he just doesn't need it. So,
plus he probably wants to play longer.
He does.
He understands the running back, the beating that they take day in and day out.
Yeah, not too many guys are like Tyreek and ready to retire, early. I mean, I think Clyde would be that way. Clyde would be that guy. Clyde would be the guy that would play until he's about 27, 28, if he played well, if he gets picked up or does go to another team. I think he's going to retire early if he gets a decent contract. He doesn't. I don't think he likes football as much as everybody thinks.
Do you guys remember Robert Smith?
Yeah.
He did the same thing, man. He got to about 8 years. He's like, you know what? He's like, it's more like football.
Yeah, Barry Sanders wasn't injury prone, but he just decided I'm done.
The greatest runner of the football in the history of the NFL. Nobody's ever ran the ball better than Barry Sanders. I'm sorry.
They didn't. I agree with you there. I mean, look, man, I remember a game, and I'm going to bring this up really quick. I'll never forget this game. I'm watching Barry run. I don't know if we were playing him. We might have been. No, it was a Thanksgiving game. This dude, I don't know how he did it, but he took his body and he went like this, and his helmet looked like it was dragging grass. His body was tilted so hard to the right, and then all at once he just came back up and he avoided everybody in his path. He ran for like 6 yards like that, and I thought, how the hell did that man do that? Does he have cleats on the side of his his shoes? Because he did the ground. I was like, I got to see this play again. So I watched the one with Lynn Dawson back in the day on the HBO.
The Monday.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about.
On Monday nights. I had to watch it, and I thought, I'll be damned, I wasn't drunk. He did do that. I was blown out of the water when I saw that. I thought, he's the best damn running back I've ever seen. I never seen nobody do that. I thought he's got cleats up to his laces. I mean, it was insane. But anyway, moving on.
Wait. Let me tell you one more story. So 1989, I'm a little kid. I think I'm like in 4th or 5th grade, and they take us after our little Pop Warner year to go to a Chiefs game because they sucked back then. So everybody probably got in for tickets that were like $5. So unbeknownst to me, this is Barry Sanders' rookie year. So I will never forget this. I'm watching the game, and we had end zone seats, and this little running back gets the ball and like jukes everybody, and it goes like 40 yards for a touchdown. I was like, man, that guy is amazing. And I was like, who is that? Nobody knew who it was at the time. Who was that? Yeah. It was Barry Sanders. Now I know now, but that was amazing because nobody knew who he was, and just to be able to see him. And if you guys ever go back, they have a commercial with him showing his Pop Warner days. The kid ran the same way in Pop Warner that he did in the National Football League. He did. How amazing is that?
Yeah, he was something else, man. I feel sorry for him You know, I look at guys
Detroit.
like him and, you know,
Megatron.
Megatron and all those guys
Oh, yeah,
were
man.
great players and never got shit out of it.
Dude. Okay, you got to tell me, between Randy Moss and Megatron are probably the two biggest freak athletes at receiver. Megatron
Absolutely.
was like 6'7", 6'8". Bro, he was something stupid like that.
Yeah, he was up there. He was
Running
up
I
like
mean, you got to be
4'4".
pretty big to have your nickname Megatron.
Yeah,
Bro.
yeah. He was.
And he ran a 4'4", and he went to Georgia Tech that was running the triple option back then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not even normal, man. I mean,
just think if you're a DB on the other side, you go up and the guy's like 6'8", and you're like, okay, well, he's probably a tight end, and then he just burns you off the line.
and, you know, and he retired early. He could have. He had more years in him. He could have played more. But why would you? Look, man, if you're loyal and you're, that's exactly right. If you're a loyal guy, then get the, you know, what's she saying? Oh, Jennifer, what's up? Have I heard anything about Frank maybe signing back with the Browns? I heard that. I heard the same thing about McKinnon. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but it may. I know the Chiefs wanted him back. I will say that, and they're working to get him back. But I don't know. Hey, there's Reset. I don't know if he'll sign with the Browns or not. I look. He wants. Here's the thing. He wants his playoff sack record, and I don't know if he's going to be able to get it with them. I mean, I don't think he knows whether he's going to be able to get it with them. So
come back home, Frank.
Come back home. That's all you got to do. Honestly, what's up, Reset? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, right now Thornhill's recruiting anybody that left Kansas City. So I mean, it's just what he's doing. He was doing the same thing with McKinnon. McKinnon said, "You know what? Nope. You know, I'm not."
Well, misery loves company.
Absolutely. Look, man, if you get picked up by the fucking Browns, you're not happy. I wouldn't be happy. Damn, man, I don't even want to go to Cleveland.
Yeah, the massage therapists definitely aren't happy.
Hell no. Hell no. I mean, they lost a lot of business out there. But I don't know. Allegedly. We'll have to see how that works out.
No, he settled those lawsuits. It's no longer.
He did.
Allegedly.
There's no allegedly to it.
There's no allegedly there.
That's some freaky shit.
Wait. Just because you said it on the court, is that a admission of guilt?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
All I can say is that if Frank signs there, I don't think I know in his mind he's a smart guy. We interviewed him. He's a great dude.
He wouldn't do it.
I just don't know if he'd do it. If we offered him the same money, he'd come back to Kansas City. If any contender offered him the same money that Cleveland would offer him, he'd go to them. Just simply because he knows he's going to get that sack record. You know, and that's what he wants. Once he's there, he flat out said he's retiring. He was going to retire this year. You know, but he wants Frank is 29 to be 30.
Okay.
So
30-year-old pass for sure, yeah.
But dude, the guy's got wheels like he's still 21. He's fast off the ball, bro. I mean, that guy just quick off the ball. He just, I don't know, man.
I'd love to get him back, man. I'd love to get him back because you always need. I mean, you can have if you don't have the tutelage there to show these young guys how to be professionals, they're not going to reach their potential as quickly as they probably would. So if you can get Frank Clark into the mix, I think you take that learning curve and you cut it in half, you know, just like you did with Karlaftis.
Absolutely.
And that's what you want, man. That's what you want, guys who know how to be professionals to stay here as long as you can, you know, within a reasonable amount of money per contract so that they can pass on that professionalism to the next guy, because that's how you build culture. If you don't have culture, then you have the Cleveland Browns, which is what we don't ever want again. We had it back in the Todd Haley days. We never want to go back there.
Oh, hell no. We don't. That's the worst 2 years of my life. I mean, that was terrible. But I honestly, I think if you look, and I know Frank is smart enough, thinking about his money. If there's $1 million difference or $1.5 million difference in the contract, he knows for a fact he's coming back to Kansas City because you're making that shit in the Super Bowl.
He's already making $7 million in Kansas City, no matter what.
No matter what, he's getting $7 million. So he might as well just come back.
Is that the dead money from letting him go?
Yeah, that's the $7 million in dead cap space.
Yeah. So bring him back. Eat the $7 million.
I have
Bring it back.
one more undrafted free agent I want to talk about. A young, handsome sports writer from Kansas City wrote this article titled "Kansas City Could Find Their Long-Term Punt Returner in the Draft," with a guy named Nico Romingo from Fresno State. I thought that he
Tommy,
was
did you write
drafted.
that article?
Yeah.
Oh, zinger. Go ahead.
I said that he could be drafted in the 6th round with the 197 pick. Obviously, he ended up on the roster anyways, or at least as an undrafted free agent, he got an invite. So the gist of the article, and you can go check it out on Chiefs Focus, selfless plug there. But, he's a guy that when he gets the ball in open space, he can make plays. He was the punt returner for Fresno. He actually spent a few years with California, the University of California, and then transferred to Fresno State. I think that if you have any worries about the punt return game, he could be the guy that could be your solution there. He could be a guy that can work in some of those jet sweeps. He has big hands. The problem is he was just one of those many guys in the draft that was 5'11" and 180 pounds. He was one of almost every single receiver that was that measurement. Yeah. But he's really good in open space, and you can't ask much more than a guy that at this point is an undrafted free agent. I would be, if it comes out in camp, then it turns out that he's on the roster and they make him the punt/kick returner. You should be excited because I bet he breaks one. Because you should just watch some of the stuff he did at Fresno State. He is really good in open space.
I agree.
Which makes sense. They're going to definitely take Pacheco off a kick return. You can't.
If he's your number one running back, and I know he was technically their number one running back last year, and he was their kick returner, but if he's going to be your running back from week 1 and you have time to plan around the fact, then you can't have him as your. It's like when Tyreek Hill became our number 1 wide receiver. He was no longer on punt returns because you don't want to risk the injury. And honestly, you want to get other guys out there. You want to have other guys touch the ball and get involved on the team as well. So if he's going to be, and he is going to be our number 1 running back heading into the season, he should not be the kick returner.
No, why do we got the fastest man in the NFL and nobody's talking about him doing punt returns, kick returns, nothing?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy. Hey, so Jennifer, I got a quick question for you. Now, this is an unfiltered show. So being the fact that we're unfiltered, it's the beauty of being, streaming and being on YouTube, we have to plug our sponsor. So if you know anyone within your household that you may be very, very close with that may resemble this, do me a favor and go to manscaped.com. You can get that all cleaned up. Plus, they have beard, cologne, anything you want for a man to clean him up. And if you do, make sure you email. Oh, by the way, type in the promo code Chiefs Focus. You get 20% off your entire order. But if you do, email the receipt or DM the receipt to us, and we will put you in for the Manscaped 4.0 kit. That is a giveaway we are doing. Believe me when I tell you, you'll be happy, and so will they. Just had to get that out of the way. Now we can move on. Probably not the right question, but it is what it is. You know what? It's the beauty of being on streaming. Reset, you said we can't pay anything on that position anymore. We have 4 people drafted at defensive end last 3 seasons. We want to get him going. We got one going already. But you need that veteran presence, man. You need somebody that can teach them. And if you can spend a little and get them back, do it all day long. Look, Kansas City ate $7 million to cut him. They bring him back for what, 3, 4? I'm all about that. Now, I got a feeling if Cleveland offers him the bag, which they may, just to keep him out of our hands and out of everybody else's hands, it might just happen. But I would love to see him come back to Kansas City. I would love to see him in that position again. And even if it's just a rotational piece, just to come in and help train these young guys. Because believe me, Karlaftis wouldn't be who he is right now if it wasn't for Frank Clark.
How would that work if they brought him back? I mean, does that, since Does that take away any of that dead cap space?
Yeah, it can
No.
take
Bring
some.
it back?
It can.
No?
Oh no, it can't. That's right.
No,
Because
that
he's completely
that
cut.
money
That
when
dead
we
cap,
cut
that
him,
money's gone. Yeah,
that money
money's
was
gone.
guaranteed to him. So
Yeah.
he was supposed to make his cap hit. We talked about this during the season. His cap hit was near $30 million.
Yeah.
Right.
It was going to be, but he was of that money, $7 million was guaranteed. So even if we
Exactly.
sign him to another contract, that money will come on top of it because
No
that
matter
money
what.
was
So he'll
already
get
guaranteed to him.
Yeah.
So
at
think
that
about
point
it.
in time,
If
would
he
it make
comes
sense
back
to,
for say $2-3 million, he comes back.
Then he's
so there's
making $10
10,
million from Kansas City.
and then you get 500,000 for the playoffs, and you get $1 million if you win the Super Bowl.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
could
that's good
easily make
incentive
almost
to come
$12 million.
back.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And another ring. Hell, if he doesn't win the
Yeah.
ring, you can pawn that for $50,000. Then he's got another
Yeah.
$50,000 in his pocket. So I mean, I'm just saying, you can pull the old Lawrence Taylor.
Did he win a ring with Seattle?
No,
No,
he
So he
got
came
there.
after.
Yeah,
He came
he
way
got there
after.
right after
yeah.
Okay.
all of their success.
Well, their
Legion
success was
of
early. They only
Doom.
won it was like 2012, right?
Bro, they should have ran the ball.
They should have. They should have.
They had Marshawn Lynch,
Oh,
top 3
man.
running back at the time of the league, and they throwing the ball, and Malcolm Butler was like, "I'll take that."
Don't worry, Reset. CJ's contract's probably going
That
to
is
come
a
up
June
soon.
conversation.
Yeah,
and
that's a June conversation, but it will happen. Don't
not
worry.
just with us, like with
Man.
Kansas City. They've made that very clear. Brett Veach has that's going to be a conversation had later in the offseason.
Yep.
And that this isn't going to be something that comes up anytime soon, that they've got other things. I will say, I do think Kansas City, whether I don't know who it's going to be, but Kansas City is going to sign a veteran pass rusher at some point. Maybe it's Carlos Dunlap, maybe it's Frank Clark, maybe it's somebody else, but there's going to be someone that's going to get cut. There's someone.
I don't think it's going to be Melvin Ingram, but I will say one of those two guys will probably come back.
Someone's going to get cut. Someone's going to want to be traded, gets cut, ends up here in Kansas City. Kansas City will throw a 7th round pick to trade for somebody.
Absolutely.
A veteran pass rusher is ending up on this team.
He said Clowney. I don't know about Clowney. Clowney still thinks he's worth like $50 million a year.
Terrible, bro. Clowney made one big hit in his college career. It blew up on ESPN, and he's been garbage ever since he was drafted in the first round. Whoever
sounds like a very specific wide receiver that's on this roster that continues to be talked about because of his freshman year at Clemson.
Yeah.
Oh, Ross.
Are you talking about Justin Ross?
It's a very odd.
Did you just talk about Justin Ross? Did he just throw out Justin Ross like he was just throwing out the trash?
Question on him. Here's my question. So he had that great freshman year. So for the next couple of seasons, he was hurt every season, right? So he never
not
had
every
season. Potential.
Not every season. He had one injury that hurt him for 2 seasons, and then he broke his foot.
Oh, okay. I got you. So you're taking a chance on it, but I mean, for what they got him for, why not?
They're all eventually. Look, man, they're high as hell on his ass. I'm telling you, everybody.
One day you got to hit on one. Hey, it's better than taking Josh Gordons and all the old washed up ones that we think still got a little bit left in them. I mean, this guy's out of college, fresh, he's young. So,
man, I had a lot of hopes for Josh. I was really hoping
I did too, man. But look, man, drugs takes a toll on your body, bro. And then he set out for what he was suspended for like a year and a half or something stupid like that.
He didn't play for almost 2 years. So
2 years,
he didn't touch football for 2 years. So
exactly, bro. It takes you way too much time to get back in the shape, in the football shape. It's hard enough to be in shape anyway to play with the best athletes in the world, and then do it after 2 years plus coming back off rehab. It's a lot. That's why I think Justin Ross, if he hits, it's nothing but positive. I mean, you spent less on him than you did on some of your 7th round picks. So, what I'm saying?
I agree. And he's, man, I just have a good feeling about this kid. I really do. I feel like everybody I've talked to said that he's just really studied the playbook. Everybody was flipping out about him working out Mahomes and he looks slow. Fuck, man, the guy just came off a broken foot. Give him a chance. He didn't look slow 2 days later. He looked pretty damn good to me. It was that one video that went up on Twitter that everybody made a big deal about. It was first day with Mahomes, and he wasn't running, full speed on every pass. And he wasn't making every cut that they expected, but he looked damn good day 3. So I'm pretty happy. I'm hoping we see something out of him. He's definitely not another he's not another bust like we got that's been sitting on the on the practice squad for 2 years and played maybe a
Who
snap.
we talking about?
Quentin liked him. What was his name?
I
Quentin?
figured it was a shot at Quentin because Quentin kind of turned his head like, okay.
Quentin liked him for a little while.
I don't know who. I don't know who you're
man.
talking about. I mean, I was a big fan of Byron Pringle, but he was that shit
I like
sailed last
Pringle.
year.
No, this kid we
Also,
drafted
was a
him.
huge marketing opportunity missed. So
No, this kid was drafted,
Pringle.
and it was too. You're right. We really pushed for that for him. We drafted him. Didn't do well his first year. Went back to the practice squad. Second year, everybody thought, well, he might do better. Still on the practice squad.
who's
The
on
hell's
the
his damn
practice
name?
squad? I don't want to look it up. I mean, is Cornell Powell still on the practice
Cornell
squad?
Powell. That's what I'm talking about. That's who I'm talking about. He sucks. I'm sorry, but he's just not. And I can't say he sucks because I won't say that about any player. But he's not good enough to make
The roster.
this roster. He's not picking up the playbook, and that was a miss. I mean, it was.
I mean, was he drafted
misses
last
we see.
year?
Year
Or has he
before.
been on there you said for 2 years, maybe?
Yeah.
2 years.
I don't know if you
Years,
can
yeah.
really. Wasn't he like a 5th or a 6th round pick? I don't know if you can really call
No,
that
he
a
wasn't
miss.
that. I don't think he was that high. I think he was a 4th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. You may be right, but I think he was 4th round.
I
Again.
do know. So here's the list, just so everybody knows, of some of the free agent defensive tackle or defensive ends that are still available. So we know about Frank Clark, right?
Frank.
Robert Quinn, Yannick Ngakoue, Javavion Clowney, Akeem Hicks, Justin Houston, Carlos Dunlap, Trey Flowers, JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul. Like, there's a list of guys that are still available.
5th round pick.
There's quite a few veteran pass rushers that are left, and I'm sure some of these guys are waiting until after, basically right until training camp starts, so they don't have to do a lot of the offseason stuff. But there's a ton of guys that are still left that will end up signing for veteran minimums or a couple $1,000,000, and one of them will end up here in Kansas City. I can't tell you who it is because I don't know, but based on how this team is built and how this team continues to be built, one of these guys is ending up as a Kansas City Chief.
Frank Clark.
It could be Frank Clark.
I still think it's going to be Frank. It's either going to be
Coming
Frank
back,
or Dunlap.
baby.
Look, you bring the guy back that is ready to give the tutelage and knows the system. That's who you bring back.
Dunlap was a good pickup.
Damn,
he
was
year.
good.
You
He
know,
was
he
so
got a
good
lot
last
of
year.
pressures, dude. He got a lot. Didn't he have one of the best pressure rates on the squad last year?
He
if I'm not
did.
mistaken?
He did, and I think he batted a ball down. And
He batted a ball down in almost every game.
yeah, it was 15 to 17 games. He batted a ball down. If that tells you something.
Yeah.
I mean, the fucking guy
It's
walk
insane.
out on the field, bat a ball down, go back on the bench, come back out, bat a ball down, get in the backfield, grab a sack. He was just something. I mean, I love and look, man, Dunlap is 35 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Clark is not 35 years old.
He's about to be 30, right?
It's 29. He's going to be 30, I think, coming up this year.
But still, somebody explain to me why John Ross is the fastest man in the NFL and he cannot even make it as a punt or kick returner. That makes no sense.
It's a good question. It's a fair question. Look, okay, here, hot take, maybe bad fan alert, okay? As a fan, you should not expect to get anything out of either of the Rosses, okay? Anything you get is like, grabbing an extra Oreo out of the packet by accident, okay? You're happy. All right, you shouldn't be expecting to get anything. Neither one of these guys have proven anything in the NFL. Okay, one of them had a good year at Clemson. The other guy played with the Bengals for like 6 months, and that's the extent of their college and NFL history. Okay, so if you get anything out of them, you're excited. If they make the team, you should be excited.
Shit, here we go again.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Bro, he's the fastest man in the NFL. How can you not?
And he hasn't made a roster. Like,
That's bad.
Maybe it's just because he hasn't had the right tutelage. I mean, guys don't fit within certain systems. They come here, they fit. I don't know why. They fit like a fucking glove. I don't know what that is.
Well, look, you know what this says, though?
He
If he
fits
can't
like the
make
glove
it
did
here,
on OJ's hand.
Oh, my God. Now we got to bring up OJ.
What did he say? Johnny said, if it does not fit, you must have quit. That's right.
He did say that. That was his famous
Bro,
line. That made him a lot of money.
If
That line
John
did.
Ross cannot make it here, his NFL career is done.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Absolutely, it is. And
if
I think
Andy Reid can't find a use for you, you do not belong in this league. Simple as that.
Hey, and you know what? Let's bring up this really quick because I want to talk about something we brought up on Tuesday's show. I'm going to bring it up now. I'm not going to take rings into consideration because rings don't mean shit to me right now when it comes to coaching. I think Andy Reid is a better coach than Bill Belichick.
Yep.
And I say that because Andy knows how to hire personnel. He knows how to coach up more than just a quarterback. He's not just a single individual type of guy that Belichick is strictly defense. That's all he really knows. He doesn't know much about offense. He needs somebody to help him with that. Andy brings in the right people to help him with that. And Belichick had a great run with Robert Kraft and Tom Brady and the antics. But we see those antics are gone. He hasn't had the great run. He had the worst draft I've ever seen. I can't say ever, but probably in the last 10 years. I think we had one of the worst drafts when we brought in Blackledge over a lot of the other quarterbacks that we could have gotten in that draft, but whatever. I think Andy's a better quarterback. And you give him one more ring, he's going to go down to the best coach in history. I think he will. I don't think it matters at all that Belichick has 7 because he did it in a style or in a manner that doesn't really fly anymore. Those refs are gone. Those pockets were lined. All the shit that went on during that time frame is over with. And as you see, he was a 3-year win coach prior to coming with Kraft.
Yeah.
And here he is again.
But you know what else, though, too? So, yeah, they did cheat. That's obvious. Well, as Bill Belichick says, they bent the rules, whatever. It's all cheating. But the problem is for him is that he has not adapted with the changing of the league. The league has went to an offensive-oriented league. You can't grab the wide receivers and beat them to death all the way down the field. You can't hold, right? You can't rough the quarterback up. You can't intimidate him like you could in the past. And he's still building his team defense first. And that's his biggest problem because defense first, teams or defensive minded coaches are not typically going to win the Super Bowl, be successful because there's too many built-in advantages for the offense.
You have to
adjust your team.
Yeah, and that's what Andy has done. And this Joe's a great. You're right, Joe. He played in the weakest division for 20 years.
Yeah,
and then when the division got strong, he got weak. So it's an air attack, and it's an air attack league, and that's the one thing that Andy has done is he has brought. He's an innovator. He changes with the times. Year in and year out, he changes with the times. What do you say? He said JPBB did it with old-fashioned Big Red, did it with changing. He did change the entire league 100%. And it's amazing that all the great quarterbacks that he had over the years, he finally nailed that one quarterback that can help him get him over the hump. And he did it at the exact right time when it became an air attack league, when it really became what it is now. So, hey, man, I'm all for it. So,
at least Bill Belichick wasn't investigated by the FBI, unlike some local team.
no.
Hey, we served our suspension, and we were only doing what every other D1 team in the nation was doing, especially damn Duke.
Yeah. Hey, man, back in the day, Nebraska was horrible about that shit. Nebraska was terrible, man.
UCLA was known. They had a dude on their team that you would
I think this is what we call whataboutism, and you're deflecting. So,
hey, let me tell you something right now. I went to high school with a guy. His name was Steve DeSager.
They had high school back then, and I'm just
it was a one-room
fire today.
Yeah, we went from kindergarten to 12th grade in one room. But yeah, so
was it warmed by coal?
Yeah, we had a coal stove in there, and it was great. We had beans for lunch every day. But anyway, they gave us coffee too, which was weird. But regardless, this kid was a monster, fucking monster. He was 6'8", about 320, just ungodly strong, dumber than a box of rocks. I mean, cheated off me in every class. Dude cheated off me in drafting class. I mean, just
Wow.
everything, you know. But he got picked up by Nebraska. They yanked him out of the 11th grade of high school, gave him his diploma. He goes to Nebraska. He's there 2 weeks. He's got a brand new Lincoln. He's got a really nice apartment. His mom's living pretty good. And then they got busted. And it all went bye-bye pretty quick. And Steve never made it past his freshman year of college because, of course, they gave him his diploma, and he couldn't make it in any college class. And I love Steve. He's a great guy. Hope he's okay. Haven't seen him in, since the 11th grade of high school. So, but I got to tell you, Nebraska was very, very, very. They just gave everybody whatever they wanted back then, bro.
Every school did it. That's the thing that what gets me about the whole investigation is the reason why they ain't clipped KU yet, or they will not clip KU, because then they would have to go back and clip every other school that's ever done it. I mean, it's and the bad thing about it is that the NCAA itself knew it was going on and did nothing about it. They're even worse. You might as well call them, the people who actually were the facilitators, because they just turned a blind eye. It's kind of like steroids in baseball. All of a sudden, everybody's hitting 50 home runs who have never hit more than 10, and we don't think there's a steroid problem. No, what it was is that baseball was on hard times. When the home run came back into play, baseball started to turn around its revenue, and people wanted to keep going.
Well, here's the difference, too. Mark McGuire was shooting that shit in every muscle. Barry Bonds used a steroid cream, and he just rubbed it on his thighs. Now, when it soaked into his hands and roped up his arm, that helped a whole lot, too. But
he increased was it 4 hat sizes or something stupid like that?
Yeah, it was insane. His fucking head was like a watermelon, bro. I mean, the motherfucker was just huge.
Well, you look at him, you look at McGuire, and you look at Canseco, all the guys pre-steroids and afterwards. I'm like, bro, come on. Yeah, you had to know. And then he
was the worst.
He had the Andrew on the top of his locker when they're interviewing him. He's like, I just take supplements. Yeah, of course you take supplements. If that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. They went too far with all that shit, though, because when you can't even go to GNC and take Nano X9 because it gives you a little bit of testosterone boost, but there's no testosterone in it, that's really kind of pushing it. I mean, guys were getting busted for all kinds. Now you can play in the NFL, smoke a joint on the sideline. Nobody gives a shit. But
there's a big difference from taking
I understand that. I'm just saying
performance-enhancing drug and smoking a doobie.
Nothing in GNC is performance-enhancing. Ain't nothing there. Yeah, it's going to enhance your workout, but it's not going to enhance the way you play on the field. It's just not going to do it, man. I mean, Nano X9 and all that shit, it didn't do that. Yeah, it gave you extreme amounts of burst when you were working out, but it didn't do shit for you on the field. So I'm just telling you, I drank Nano X9 daily, 45 minutes before every workout. And the biggest mistake I made ever was putting way too much in the first time. Shit.
Whoa, what are we talking about, roids?
It wasn't roids. It was some shit from GNC. This guy told me about, man. Powder. It was a protein. Well, it was more than that. All I know is I never threw up working out ever. And man, I put 3 scoops in because all I saw was 3 scoops on the back of the bottle. That's all I saw. I didn't see gradually get up to 3 scoops.
Go up, yeah. That's how it was with you guys. Well, Q probably don't remember this. Do you remember Rip Fuel? You used to be able to get Rip Fuel.
Hell yeah.
They had the what do you call it? The ephedra in it.
Yeah.
We used to use it all the time. Like my senior year at Missouri Southern, I got so ripped off that crap, dude. I'm talking about ripped on that stuff. It said take, start out with 1, gradually get up to 3, and then it said don't take it more than I think it was 3 weeks at a time. And I took that crap all summer, bro. I lost 30 pounds. It was the best shape of my life.
Oh, hell yeah, bro. And I'm telling you, when I drank that shit, the first time I did it, I worked out with this guy named Arian that ended up being Mr. Universe. This motherfucker was so big that I took him to play golf, and he stuck his arms out so far because his damn triceps were so big it would hit his chest. So he couldn't swing the golf club. The motherfucker was just a monster, right? Had no neck, didn't know what the hell he was doing half the time, had this hardcore accent. So I get to the gym, and he's standing there, and he says, "Doing okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." "Why?" And he goes, "You're sweating." He goes, you ain't even touched a plate yet. You ain't done shit. I said, it's hot outside. I'm bouncing off fucking walls, right? I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I get up, my shoulder press real quick. Boom, 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 boom. 120 pounds like nothing. 7 sets of 10. I get on the bench. Boom, 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 boom. I'm hitting it hard. I get to about my 7th set, 385. And all of a sudden he goes, hey, man, you got red splotches all over you. I said, what? He goes, your whole body's got your face, everything. You're red splotched up. I'm halfway up with this shit. I looked at my arm and I said, oh, damn. So I just lifted it and set it down. And the next thing I knew, I must have hurled about 7 times in the trash can. He goes, what the hell did you eat, man? I said, I didn't eat nothing. All I did was take the nano and the pills. He goes, did you use 3 scoops? I said, yeah, it's what it said on the back of the bottle. He goes, no, dumbass. He said he was Austrian. So he had that hardcore kind of Russian accent. No, stupid. You do 1 scoop. Next week you do 2 scoops. Week after that you do 3 scoops. You stupid, man. And I said, fuck off, dude. And I'm throwing up in a trash can. I worked out with this little Thai guy. His name was High, and he was always high, but he was a big son of a bitch. And he's laughing at me. I finally just left. I said, fuck it, I'm going home. I didn't feel good for 3 days, man. I did not feel right for 3 straight days.
You got to be careful, man, like that. And that's part of the reason why they banned a lot of those from the NFL because, well, you got to remember, man, HGH kind of changed the whole, world of sports, man, with, started with the track and field, and then it kind of eventually went through the rest of the sports. But, you used to be able to get HGH at GNC. People don't remember. They used to go to the back room. If you knew what you were talking about, they go to the back room, they bring it out, a little tube, you dip it up under your tongue and all stuff like that. I never took it, but I know people who did.
Yeah.
Sure, I wish I would have taken it.
You know an awful lot about that shit. But anyway, no. You know what? Arian had this coffee table. It was round, and it was a glass top, and it had hinges. And we'd go to his apartment. He'd lift up the thing. You want a cocktail? I thought he meant a drink. No, man, it was steroid cocktails. He would mix this, that, and the other, but he would take everything. And then when he would go do a competition, he would shoot this fucking oil in all of his muscles. And I saw that shit and I said, what the hell are you doing, man? Bro? He goes, I'm preparing for I said, prepare? How are you prepare? That's going to kill your ass, man. He goes, no, it's like vegetable oil. And I think it was glycerin or something.
We talked about this before. That's why I'm surprised that Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and all these guys haven't, their hearts haven't blown up. I finally figured out they're not like the wrestlers. They didn't do steroids and a lot of cocaine. They just did steroids a little bit.
Schwarzenegger did have a triple bypass.
What people don't know, this is turned into a health video. It's like cocaine is not good for you, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not. It's not. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Look at Chris said telling secrets. No, man. Stallone still talks about the time he got arrested in Australia with the HGH. He got busted bringing it back.
Yeah.
He was like 60. He got fucking popped bringing back HGH because he wanted to stay in shape. Is what it is. I did. Look, I'll admit it. He said Rick James. I'm Rick James, bitch. I did steroids once in my life, and it was weird. I will say that. I had Arian talk me into doing it, gave me a little vial, shot it in my fucking arm. I grew quick, but I noticed that I didn't have any more strength. And I thought, okay, this is weird. So I asked him one day, I said, why is it that I'm getting so much bigger so quickly, but I can't bench over 385? And he said, well, steroids, all they do is just pump you full of basically water. Your muscles are full of water. And I said, really? He said, yeah, man. He said, this just makes you look good. He said, that's all it's really for. It doesn't really give you much more strength. You can rip from it or you can grow from it. I never did it again after that. In fact, the vial that I had, I never even finished it. I mean, I just didn't want to do it anymore. And it pissed me. I was pissed at everybody. My mom couldn't even say hi to me. I'm like, fuck you, Mom. I don't want to talk to you. I was mad at the world, bro. That shit just put me in a horrible mood. I didn't like anybody. So I just said,
I was too chicken. I was too chicken.
I never did it again, man. One time I went on a half cycle. So, you do 6, I guess they do 6-week cycles or something. I did 3 weeks of it and I hated everybody, bro. There wasn't one person I liked. And I mean, I kicked my dog, and I love every dog I've got. I kicked the shit out of my dog for no reason. Just mad at the world, bro. I don't
Hormones,
know.
man. It'll do it every time, man. It was.
You ain't lying, Chris. Roid rage is absolutely real, and I never believed in it until I shot that shit in my arm. And man, after the first couple of days, I was mad at everybody. Fuck you, mom. Fuck you, dad. I hated everybody. Nobody.
I didn't know you actually liked anybody. So the fact that you had a change of mind that were like you were mad at everybody, I was like, oh, that's just JP.
No, I like you sometimes. Tommy's all right.
Guys, look. In the
I'm just kidding. It was Reagan, bad.
Kids,
it was terrible.
Say no to drugs.
Absolutely, don't do the roids. I did do one called.
See, now this is 2 health alerts. Cocaine's bad. Don't do drugs just in general. Look, we're doing the DARE program's job for you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We should have that disclaimer up.
That's what the DARE program, part 2.
Yeah. Part 2.
Hour and a half into the broadcast, and we've got completely off the point.
Absolutely off the point. But you know what? That's the great part about streaming. You can do what the fuck you want. But anyway, yeah, it was a crazy time back then. I hated it. And what was funny was when I didn't do it after that, Arian pushed me real hard, and I got to 400 pounds bench. And the one time, he said, you got to get 425, bro. Just one lift, 425. I said, all right. So I took that shit up. I got about 3/4 of the way, and then I heard push, and everything dropped this side. My arm from my bicep through my chest filled up with blood. Thank God he was hovering over me. He picked it up off of me. I exploded. Everything just blew up. I blew all my blood vessels in my chest and in my arm. It took me a year to get back into a gym. So I never touched 425 pounds again. After that, the best I could ever get to was 355.
Sound like Stallone when he ripped his pectoral.
I still got all the scars, man. I mean, I got scars from where I ripped mine right here. It's all scarred up right there. It's crazy.
To be the
I spent in the gym. I was 7 days a week, twice a day in the gym. So you do what you got to do, you know. So anyway, now that we're completely off topic, Quentin, what else do you got?
I mean, I don't know if there's any other of the free agents you want to talk about. I mean, we could save some of them for next week. There are a couple of guys that I want to look a little bit further into before I make a definitive statement about whether or not I think they'll make the roster. There are some other guys that I'm interested in, but I'm just not sure. A lot of it's position based, like that Cam Jones linebacker. I'm just not sure. I haven't looked enough into him to give you a definitive statement about him yet. So I don't have anything else for today.
That's cool. Chris said 355 still a beast. What the fuck? That was 7 days a week, twice a day, brother. If I missed the gym, I was mad at myself. That was the only other time I got more mad than I was on the roids, is if I missed a day at the gym. And when I would go meet the guys that played for the Chiefs and some of the Royals guys, I left the gym and went and met them. I didn't do anything else. He said, "Will Prince make the team? Will he or did he? What are you asking? I don't know. I don't know which one he is.
He's asking, is he making the team?
I give him the best odds out of a lot of these free agent guys that we signed. I think you got to think there's a position open on the there's a position open in the running back room, right? The Chiefs right now aren't holding a fullback, and if you're just doing the math on the numbers, so you could carry 4 running backs instead of 3 and a fullback. I just think that. And his skill set is there. I do think he runs a lot like a Pacheco. So if I'm not giving him like a definitive he makes the team, but out of all the free agents, undrafted free agents that we're bringing on, I think he has the best chance of making the roster.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I don't know about anybody else, but I agree with you. He's probably got the best shot of all of them. Chris said max 305, and I'm a retired Army officer. Well, they make you stay a little lean in the Army. You can't work out as much as we did. It's different when you're doing more cardio workout than you are weightlifting. And see, I think from my understanding of the Army is you do a lot more cardio style workout and things of that nature. I could be wrong, but that's my experience with a few guys I know that have been in the Army. Chris, did you get on the Manscaped thing yet? You got to answer me before we get off the thing. Because if you didn't, you got to go on there. Use Chiefs Focus, 20% off.
And free shipping.
And they got, from what I understand, the cologne's this shit. Somebody said it smells like Aqua de Joe. That's the hottest selling cologne ever, and it's 20 fucking 5 years old.
Baby.
It's still
Aqua
the
de
best
Joe.
cologne out there, you know. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's crazy that shit still sells. I don't know, but anyway, well, I appreciate it, Chris. He said lean and mean. He said I'll get on it now. Manscaped. It's with a D on the end. Manscaped. Here, let me do this. Let me give you something real quick. Hold up. Take me a second. Where the hell is it? Yeah, man.
Okay,
This has got so much shit in here.
Okay, I think with that,
Manscaped. Just type in the promo code Chiefs Focus. You get 20% off your entire order. Check out everything they got. They got a lot of cool shit. If you order something, DM me on Twitter, and we'll get you entered for the 4.0 kit that I showed earlier. And if you didn't see it, there it is. Woo! You can trim your nuts and your nose. With that being said, I don't know what else we got, guys.
I think that's it. We'll cover some more
Time
of
to
these
go.
undrafted free agents next week. We've got some time to talk about it, and then anything else happens, if the Chiefs make another move or whatever, we'll talk about it. But
Yep.
I think with that, have a good weekend, everybody.
Go Royals.
Hey, they're playing better. It's not leading to wins yet, but they're playing better.
Scoring better, that's for sure.
They are scoring better. It's
Yeah.
They're more entertaining to watch now. When you're not getting blown out, 8-2, and now you're actually scoring runs. It makes
Are they still
it way
a
more
one-win
bearable to
team?
watch. What?
Are they still? How many wins they got now? It's sad that I don't follow them.
8.
Eight.
They're
up to 8 wins?
24, 8
Yeah,
and
we
25.
don't talk about the losses. We'll just talk about the 8 wins.
Yeah. Call
They
us the
doubled
new
their win.
age.
They doubled their win rate at home yesterday. They've now
We're
won
the
2
new
home
age
games.
Cleveland Spiders, baby.
They've won 2
23 losses coming right down the pipe.
Hey,
And the bad thing about it, we can't even be assured the number 1 pick because the MLB's got a lottery now.
think of it this way. At least we're not the Oakland A's.
That's true.
And the
Hey.
AL Central it is also just ass. So
They're going to Las Vegas and they're going to get a new stadium. So, hey,
they'll still
can't
suck.
be too bad.
They will still suck. And you know what? Them motherfuckers have no clue how hot it is. You get out here in the middle of August.
They're going to build them a dome, man, just like
Huh?
they did the Raiders.
They better make that shit air conditioned because that'll just make it hotter. That's like a
Like
fucking oven.
Houston, man.
Woo, brother.
Houston,
I'm
the
telling you,
Rangers, Tampa Bay.
that heat's
all of it.
stupid.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
All right, roll the
Peace out,
credits.
everybody. Talk to you guys Tuesday.